Welcome to Deliciously Healthy. I'm Julie Harrison, and in this episode I'm going to be showing you some fabulous Chinese dishes, takeaway favourites, but this is going to be done the super healthy way. We're going to be making a sweet and sour chicken. Normally when you have it from a Chinese takeaway, it's been fried in canola oil, it's got soy sauce in it, it's had genetically modified ingredients, and they're using tons and tons of white sugar to get the nice sweet flavour. We're going to be doing it the best way possible. It's all going to be super healthy and it's going to taste amazing too, and also really, really quick. So the first thing you need to do is to get the sauce heating on the stove. Now you need pineapple juice, or if you haven't got pineapple juice you can use orange juice. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop it in a saucepan, but what we need to do is just keep a little bit back to start with. Just give it a little stir, because we want to mix it with the corn flour. So I'm just keeping a little bit back. So we pop the pineapple juice in the saucepan, along with the tomato paste. We need 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and we need 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is quite incredible really. It's got the mother in there. It's got lots of enzymes which boost your health. And we're putting in 2 tablespoons. And 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. We're just going to mix in tomato paste. We also need to put in a clove of garlic. Now with garlic, always prepare it 10 minutes before. If you like garlic, you can obviously put more in. We also need to put in a little bit of soy sauce. This is actually tamari. Tamari is wheat-free soy sauce, so it's even better for you. So we're just going to put in a tiny little splash and let it come to the boil. Once it's come to the boil, we want it just to reduce down a little bit, not massively, probably by about a quarter, and then we're going to mix in the corn flour and get a nice thick gloopy sauce, which is going to make the chicken and the vegetables taste beautiful. So now I'm actually preparing the vegetables for the sweet and sour chicken. You can use any vegetables you've got, but I like to use broccoli. It's full of sulforaphane if it's prepared properly. I'm putting in peppers and slicing some carrots and some onion. If you've got different selection of vegetables, feel free to use whatever you've got, whatever you fancy. So 1 chopped onion. You don't want the white pith, and you don't want the seeds. I'm going to cut them up so they're a diamond shape, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. Now, don't ever waste the stalk. In fact, I'm going to show you now, because it's something that often gets thrown away, and for me it's one of my favourite parts of the broccoli. If you actually cut the ends off and then very lightly peel it or cut off, you can see it's the white bits you want, so you just need to peel it. And then if you cut it into slices and then matchsticks, you've got a whole new vegetable. So because the broccoli takes quite a long time to cook in comparison to the rest of the vegetables, we're just going to cut it up into little small florets. So now we're on to the chicken. I always have a separate board for raw chicken or for any meat. If you follow these simple rules, you're not going to end up getting food poisoning. So here I've got the equivalent of a small chicken breast. These are actually supposed to be little mini fillets. There's about 125 grams of chicken here, which is plenty for 2 people. It's a myth really that we have to have a huge plate of meat. So what I'm going to do is cut it up into little squares. So with the chicken, we need to put in the tamari and the toasted sesame seed oil. We're going to put in a tablespoon of toasted sesame oil and 1 tablespoon of tamari. It starts to go an opaque colour. We need corn flour. So 1. So that's 4 tablespoons. 1 more tablespoon. So now what we're going to do is heat up the oil in the pan and cook the chicken. The sweet and sour sauce now is evaporated down by probably 1/4 to 1/3. What we're going to do is we're going to put in the corn flour and make it nice and thick. So here I've got the 2 tablespoons of corn flour mixed in with a little bit of pineapple juice that I kept back from before. Now you can see we've got nice and thick sweet and sour sauce, which you must taste. It's beautiful. Always taste it, because the thing is with natural ingredients, they taste different each time. If you were deliberately sticking to a recipe and not tasting it, it might not be quite right, because these are natural ingredients and we need to vary it sometimes. But this time, it's spot on. I don't need to do anything to it. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. So it's hot enough now, so what we're going to do is tip in the chicken. Be careful not to get the little bits of corn flour that didn't quite get absorbed. Separate the chicken. So now we just need to leave it just to cook, and then we'll give it another little stir in a moment. Because I'm not using as much oil as traditionally a Chinese cook would, I'm not moving it around the pan as often as you see some chefs do. What I'm doing is letting one side cook and go crispy before I turn it over. Traditionally in Chinese takeaways, they do one called crispy chili beef, and you can do a slight variation with what I'm doing now, using beef instead of the chicken, and put in some chili into the sweet and sour. Oh, it's beautiful. You can vary all these dishes. They're really versatile. So the chicken is virtually done now. So what I'm going to do is pop it into a bowl. So now a little bit more oil just for the vegetables. So now we're going to put in the broccoli and the onion. I'm putting in broccoli to get a nice bright green, and with the red peppers and the carrots, just as many colours as well as many vegetables that you can get in is going to allow your body to do the miraculous things that it wants to do. Because it doesn't matter what your illness is, what your health problem is, if you flood your body with nutrients and give it what it needs, it just figures it out. We've got trillions and trillions of cells, and they all know exactly what to do, but more often than not, we deprive them of the things that they need so that they can work properly. I'll put in a little splash of water. Turn the heat down just a tad. And while we're waiting for that to cook, we'll just reheat the sweet and sour sauce. Pour the sweet and sour sauce over. I like to put the chicken on top because that way it stays nice and crispy, but you might want to give it a little stir. We'll just garnish it with a tiny little bit of coriander.